Hello and welcome to the G
NH.
podcast. We're going to be talking about nothing but brains today. The brain of the computer, CPU. Now, of course, we have the two big titans of the industry, which are AMD and Intel. Of course, most of you understood that. We're going to be talking about both and just innovations in both fields that they've made. You want to start us off, H?
Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and start us off with AMD here. So our first little article here that we're going to read for you is going to be AMD's Gigabyte's new turbo mode could boost Ryzen performance by 35%. Now, I don't know if you know about AMD's performance, but they've always been really fast. I don't know if you've ever used one of their CPUs, but their L3 cores have always been really, really high, higher than Intel's standards. But
Okay.
I will say that Intel is coming out with something newer, and Logan will be talking about that a little bit.
I'm excited.
The turbo setting is supposed to allegedly improve gaming performance of the AMD.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, AMD Ryzen chips by 35%. And this is the best scenario with the new 9000 RX 3D series, which is coming out this next month, which is going to be absolutely crazy. It's going to be using its ASA firmware, which should significantly perform gains over the non-3D series and the Ryzen 7000 family.
Oh, yeah. I hate to see AMD on the up and up, but I gotta say, it's looking pretty bright.
I know. Now, the only one catch with this is that you are going to have to be using a BIOS software for the X870 and X670 motherboards. Now, that is from Gigabyte, and you're going to have to be using a later version of that. So if you don't know how to upgrade that, YouTube is a great tool for you, and you'll be able to find that on there. Now, our next little article we're going to be reading here is AMD's teaser to the Ryzen 9000X 3D chip for November 7th. Now, this is something I just talked about. I just talked about this in the turbo setting, and this is a brand new CPU that's going to be coming out from AMD here, and they're actually going to be putting a 50% sale off on their processors pretty soon because of this. And they're going to have 30% off $30 off on their newest CPU chips that are going to be coming out, and they are going to be hitting the market hot. Mm-hmm. They are going to be around the $300 range on there is what they are expecting to cost. Now, I don't know. That's just word of mouth. So
they could say all they want to say. Don't mean it's true.
Yeah, we don't actually know if that's what they're going to be coming out with, but that's what they said. Now, it's alleged, so we never know, but it is saying that it is going to be PCIe 5 compatible. It's going to be compatible with DDR5, and it's going to be on their AM5 platform, which is almost like they moved over to that Intel chipset almost. But that's what they're coming out with, those new CPUs. And they're also reportedly delivering up to 8% higher gaming performance than the Ryzen 7 78X3D on the Ryzen 7 9800X3D, which is the one little tier below the one we were just talking about, the Ryzen 9000 series. And they're supposed to be giving a 8% higher gaming, which on the grand scheme of it, really, it sounds like a small number, but we're talking about 50, 60 FPS here more than your lower ones, which is honestly going to be kind of crazy. And that's all I've got to talk about in AMD today. I'm going to go ahead and shove it right over to Logan.
That's right. Here's the good part. The good part is that one thing is Intel's going for a name change. We've stuck with the Core i for so long. They're finally changing it to Core Ultra. It's their new version of CPU. It has different new technology, and it's apparently supposed to be more optimized, better for performance, not only in gaming, but in business setting as well. Though course tests they put out for the new CPUs, it's still not beating Ryzen. I will be honest, the graphs do not lie.
And that is true. They are not beating Ryzen, which, that's all right. Their new Aero series, it looks like it's going to be coming out pretty hot on the market, just as AMD. And they've always been in a real battle against each other. It's almost been like the Trojan War or something like that. We've been lost out at sea for about 40 years.
Oh, that's right.
And we're just now starting to get new ones.
And as well as Intel's wanting to be able to integrate their new AI into all their CPUs. Maybe not all their CPUs, but their newer CPUs, which sooner or later will become the new standard. They're wanting to integrate it just to make your ease of access and quality of life just a little bit better. Not trying to force it on to anybody, but if you want it, there it is.
I will have to say, though, the AI standard, AMD has really went away from the AMD style. You don't really see a lot of AI stuff from AMD, which is kind of weird. Intel's more taking that professional side. What do you think about that?
That's always how it's been, more the dynamic that AMD and Intel have always had. Intel, they're trying to go for the quality of life, while AMD's always gone for more bang for your buck.
I will have to say that is true. AMD has always went on the more, they've always went on the more of the lower price range, more bang for the buck performance for gaming. But Intel is more of they're more professional. They're more like workstation ready. I mean, even the laptop that I'm recording this on is an Intel CPU, which...
That's right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it is right.
Like God intended right there.
Is that all we have to talk about CPUs?
Yeah. I mean,
so.
of course, we talked about brains, and brains.
Oh, yeah. We do love our brains around here.
We're going to start this segment off with the Battle of the Ages, the minds versus minds. We're going to go up against what I represent, the God-given right of Intel, and Landon's side of, whatever he...
AMD. It's AMD.
Yeah, whatever. I don't even know how you spell that. Like, what even is that?
It's
Anyway.
literally in the name, AMD. It's not that hard. Come on, Logan.
Okay. Well, of course, we both built our own computers and built computers for other people, and I've always worked with, believe it or not, Intel. I've always liked their motherboards, and you've always worked with AMD.
Yeah, just their sockets, how they're so easy to change out, how almost every single one is an AM3 or an AM4, where any CPU might work with the same motherboard. How about you, Logan? Is that the same on Intel over there?
I think I'll stick with my LGAs any day of the week, pal.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. Maybe if I want to upgrade my computer to a newer CPU, I've got to change my entire motherboard when you don't.
All right. Well, don't catch me dead having to buy 50,000 motherboards when I just tried to change out my CPU twice.
How do you think I grow a collection? So, you got to get that from somewhere. But, of course, AMD, they've always been more for the user customization. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, AMD, they've always been more user customizable, and we see that a lot with their graphics drivers. If you look at their graphics drivers, the way that you can move everything around, it looks a lot better than NVIDIA's graphics drivers. But do they stand up? In my opinion, they do not. Because in my own experience, I have had an AMD graphics card, and I will have to say that I'm NVIDIA all the way on a graphics card. AMD's graphics cards they're too unreliable. For me, I feel like it went through one storm, maybe one lightning strike. All right, and then the lightning didn't even hit the house. The power might have went out, and the entire card just died. I have never had over the 4 NVIDIA cards that I've never had a single NVIDIA card do that to me.
And that's just personal experience.
Yeah, that's just personal experience. Nobody else has had that problem that I've seen, but there might be.
Maybe. Well, let's not call it out of the question. Let's
let's not call it out of the question. It might be an actual thing that might happen. You know what I'm saying?
No, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Of course, if we're going to get into GPUs, obviously NVIDIA is the king of GPUs. Of course, Intel getting their foot in the door. AMD's been there for a while, but they're just always in the shadow of NVIDIA. They're always making new innovations, and of course, with the user UI, and of course with the customization and overclocking capabilities, and just overall performance and bang for your buck that NVIDIA gets you.
And don't forget about NVIDIA's DLSS.
Yeah, that's true.
That right there is the best thing that NVIDIA has ever come out with. Just increasing your performance so much. That is incredible. And, NVIDIA might have their DLSS, but AMD also has FSR, which is their, Fidelity FX super resolution scaling, which is, it's the same thing as DLSS. I mean, come on, people, just name it DLSS. I mean, of course they can't name it that. They would get a copyright strike.
Yeah, but what they're doing new NVIDIA, what they got with the new 40 series, right? They're able to use, they're using DLSS 3, which allows them to use AI to actually create additional frames. And it just gives you more performance, gives you more bang for your buck for performance, and additional frames for when you're trying to game for ultimate.
Oh yeah, AMD's really out there. NVIDIA really is really good with their performance-wise on their graphics cards. I mean, however, NVIDIA's newer graphics cards that have been coming out have been just getting more and more and more expensive over the time. I mean, have you seen the RTX 40 series prices?
Yeah.
$1,500 just for one lower graphic. And we're talking about the 4060 Super here, so 4060, Ti. We're looking at, for those ones, you're looking at about I think it's $569 for that one on the lower price.
Oh yeah.
And that's after it's been out for how long now? A year now? It's felt like a year now that it's been out.
I think just about, yeah.
Yeah, and you look at the 30 series and they're still pretty high. You go to a 3070, you're looking at $500. You go to I believe you go to a 3080 and you're looking at almost $1,000. I mean, most people, you could pay $1,000 and get a used car. I mean, that's almost like a car, or like a house payment. I mean, really.
Or one insurance payment.
Yeah, exactly, for about a month, because we can't have insurance in America no more.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, NVIDIA's really been raising their prices on their GPUs. However, AMD, they've kept it pretty low. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah, I have seen. Of course, they're able to keep it low when not as much performance. Of course, you didn't hear that from me.
Now, I will say, Logan, you might be wrong about that one. They're newer graphics cards that are coming out. The RX, I think it's I had it on here somewhere. I forgot about it. They're newer.
Well, it's fine.
Their newer graphics cards that have been coming out are faster and cheaper than NVIDIA's newer graphics cards. So like the 4080, the 4090, they're actually on par, and they're performing better. So they're moving up in the world. However, I will say that the GPU drivers, I had an AMD card. The GPU drivers would always randomly uninstall themselves for no reason. And that is a big problem, and they're going to have to fix that.
Of course, that's always been an issue, but there are always things you're going to iron out and kink out that never really going to be able to get to.
Yeah. And you think about technology as a whole, you think about what it is and how it's been out there and how long it's been here for, and, you think there's not really anybody that leaves a true 100% legacy. The only one that you could think of would be, people that created the tech brands, but not the actual tech itself, because tech becomes obsolete in 4 years.
If even any nowadays. I mean,
now it gets even the older, I have a chip, I have in mine an AMD Ryzen 5 5600X, and now that's going to be obsolete in a couple years because it's not going to be good anymore.
I have a Core i9 10900K in my computer, and that's starting to get old too. It's just getting to that point.
And that wasn't even released that long ago.
No.
It makes you feel kind of sad about the parts, but it also makes you feel good because you're like, there's innovation.
Yeah, especially also with the way things are aging, such as Windows 10. It's less than a year till the end of service ends for that.
Yeah, Windows 10 is about to be deactive now. There's just like Windows 7 did all those years ago.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Windows 7. Windows 7, you will be missed. But Windows 10 will go out of active duty pretty soon, and it will now be Windows 11, the godforsaken Windows 11.
Yeah, it's forsaken. Still's got issues, still don't like it, but hey, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, it really is just a terrible, simplified reskin of Windows 10.
May have to switch to Ubuntu. I don't know.
No, I would not switch to Linux. That would be a terrible idea, Logan.
Well, I think that's about it for today.
Oh, yeah. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this podcast up for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed our podcast. Hope that everyone's listening out there is having a wonderful time. And we will catch you on the next episode.
Bye-bye.
This is G&H Podcast signing off.
Signing off.